notion you are part of the British Empire, and we don't want to be part of the problem, right? So, pop quiz. What have you done to help the black community? Fucking racist. Anyone else? Anyone? Has anyone in this room done anything to help people of color in this country? I myself just donated $20 earlier today. So if we calculator and just run the math on that, I make $50,000 a year. Percentage. Okay, well, I didn't donate over the course of a year, right? I just donated today. So if we break it down by what I get paid per day, about $200. So I donated 10% of my salary. That's more than every billionaire in this country combined. What have you done? Well, there are actually several people of African descent who I let stay on my property, rent-free. Wow. Thank you, but I'm no hero. I'm no tough. Because I paid. Letting several people live with you, that's quite a sacrifice. What made you decide to do that? I don't see it as a sacrifice. Wow. Oh. What an amazing answer. Everyone, this is how you make a difference. Have you let people of color into your home rent-free? Well, no, but... Exactly. Which makes you complicit. Be the change you wish to see. I will slap the bitch off you. My friend here isn't quite, with the times, but I'm trying. Who'd you even vote for in the last election? I vote Republican. Wow, shame. So we found the racist. I am so confused right now. You know what we get when we vote for Republicans? The Great Depression. Why you guys are expecting everyone? Republicans are ruining this country. Don't be on the wrong side of history.
Hitler is Hitler.
Like, are you even vaccinated? You think smallpox is a joke, or do you not believe in vaccines? Hey, I require all my troops to be vaccinated. Do you think the 2020 election was stolen? Do you think Harriet Tubman did it? Because technically she does. See, we need more people like your friend. What was your name? George. And how do you identify, George? Passionate. See, George understands that people of color are still marginalized in this country. It's like, what did Lincoln even? I bet you think racism doesn't exist. I mean, I look around and all I see is 1860. See, the problem is the system. I've been kept down by the system. What happened, George? Safe space.
This should be the most convenient way to beat them up.
I was once taxed without my representation. Okay. It was like the government came in and marginalized my paycheck. Well, I usually don't hand out participation prizes so early, but I think we all know who deserves it. You know what? I recommend taking your friend to this and maybe educating him a bit. Go. Oh, okay. What is this? 2 tickets to Hamilton.
fastest way to die in Tears of the Kingdom by the keys in the prologue, or playing through the intro and immediately jumping off a ledge. Or maybe it's something else entirely. Diaper Descent is a pretty common category extension for speedruns, since it's short and has a clear objective.
No!
Just don't think about the premise of it. Sphere is like
You were supposed to hit the
There's a
fucking...
whole leaderboard for dying in different ways to Breath of the Wild, including things like falling off a cliff, ice water, bees, and Boga. Leave a comment if you're interested in hearing about that run. It's a pretty fun story. In your first playthrough of Breath of the Wild, you may have put up a pretty respectable time for glitchless 5% fall off a cliff if you, like many others, were curious what would happen if you got a bit too close to the edge. And falling off a cliff is the fastest way to die in Breath of the Wild. The glitchless world record is 2 minutes and 21 seconds, where the unrestricted world record is just 59 seconds. The difference is the out-of-bounds clip that's possible immediately after getting the Sheikah Slate. By using the scope, Link is running into this corner with the camera turned backwards. The scope will turn him around such that his model clips out of bounds. This gives us access to a clip of sorts that doesn't require watching all the long cutscenes. From here, it's not quite high enough to deal 3 hearts of damage, so you need to wait for Link to take cold damage before hitting the ground. This is definitely not lore accurate Link. Maybe he just needs another 100 years. But Tears of the Kingdom starts off a little bit differently. Instead of waking up naked with 3 hearts, you're placed in the tunnels beneath Hyrule Castle with 30 hearts and full stamina, which, by the way, is more than you can get in Breath of the Wild even with the DLC, equipped with the Champion's Tunic and Master Sword. It's extremely linear, and if you go too far away from Zelda, she'll stop you and talk your ear off about the Zonai and imprisoning war. The water at the start isn't deep enough for Link to drown, and the ceiling is never high enough to take fall damage, so the options are incredibly limited. The only way to take damage is fighting the keys at the end, which isn't exactly ideal. But the alternative is watching a 4-minute unskippable cutscene that's so long it puts Link to sleep. Which brings me back to the initial question. Is it faster to die to the keys, or watch the intro and find the fastest ledge to jump off and die? And I'm sure a lot of people have wondered what happens when you die in the prologue but haven't been bored enough to try it, let alone time it to see how fast it can be done, so I've done the work for you. If you run straight through the intro, making sure to do these little jumps before the dialogue triggers to save a second or two, because it makes Zelda run toward you, and get hit by the keys 120 times. It takes just under 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Totally fine. This makes things pretty interesting because an optimal intro takes 6 minutes and 40 seconds to gain control of Link in the Room of Awakening. So to tie things up, we just need to die within 50 seconds. Room Link spawns in doesn't extend high enough to take fall damage, so grabbing the Decayed Master Sword and cutting the vines is required. This only leaves 20 seconds left, and looking at our surroundings, it's hard to say what the best option is. The door at the end is closed and only opens after activating the terminal, which already takes around 40 seconds. The water under the gears is deep enough to drown it, but it only deals 1 part of damage and has a long animation respawn time. There's one more option, but it requires everyone's favorite trick, Cog Skip. With a well-timed running jump, turnaround jump slash, we can make it to this upper ledge. This isn't high enough to take damage, so we have to keep climbing. Turns out, it's possible to take 3 hearts of fall damage if you climb up this route, keep your Link stamina to refill, and do 4 jumps before meeting a timely demise. This just barely works. Any lower and it only deals 2 3/4 hearts of damage.
What the fuck?
And even after all of that, the final time was just over 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And while both attempts were improvable, the difference between them would stay roughly the same, so it's slightly faster to let the keys kill Link. There's an even faster way to die, and it's reminiscent of Breath of the Wild. Even without the Sheikah Slate, there's a way to clip out of bounds in the intro by climb jumping at a very specific spot on the wall. This unfortunately only works on version 1.0, so if you're a current patch purist, then good luck with the bats. Once we're out of bounds, we can see that there's really nothing to see. The intro area is separate from the overworld, just like shrines are, which is why it's unlikely we'll ever be able to skip the intro cutscene in speedruns. But being out of bounds does give us the ability to take damage. Being out doesn't work, but by jumping off the edge and immediately diving while holding backwards, we can take 1 heart of damage. Repeat that 29 more times and GG, the fastest game over in just under 2 minutes. And because I've been watching too much Timber, I figured I'd try some black magic to die even faster. Generally, speedruns are required to start from a fresh boot of the game, which means that any glitches that transfer through saves are banned. But for fun, I wanted to try messing around with the setup file. One of the fastest ways to die that I've come across is throwing a gem and getting caught in the explosion. Trust me, it's happened way too many times. But with the existence of glitches that transfer items between saves, I should be able to transfer a gem to link in the intro. The item transfer glitch I decided to use is called Zuggle Road Object Transfer. The lot works by fusing tingling an object to a shield so that it's in a state
Great, we're fighting cancer.
and it's being fused to the shield.
This is long
Staying
overdue.
interactable in the game.
Surprise! My apologies.
Zuggle,
Let the
which
show
sticks the shield
begin.
to links so that it lasts 3 minutes. After reloading, the shield will be there, using the world object normally loaded in the world at the coordinates we looked at.
Yeah! Whirling snow.
The launch area is
No
close to
touching.
the overworld, but since all the different maps in the game share the same coordinate system,
Over
you
here.
can log the item at the coordinates that correspond to the starting area of the prologue, which according to the object map is 64, 35, 191, or right around here. After trying it out, I managed to get a topaz on top of the tunnel, right above Link's head, instead of inside the tunnel. That's because the Z coordinate that I read from the object map is pretty far off and is actually spawning way up here and then falling down. I tried clipping through the floor and slotting from the water below, but it still wasn't low enough, so it looks like the overworld isn't the best option, since I don't think I'll be able to easily get below the water plane at the right height for what I'm trying to do. So I went into the object map again, filtered the search to shrines, and looked around for
Oh, it's
objects
revealed
that
like,
were close to where the
let's
start
go.
of the prologue
Leave it all
is.
to me.
And it turned out, this group of 4 big wheels at Mar and Kukuk is basically perfect. It's a little low and not exactly the same spot, but by putting this ramp on the end of the car, it really looks like it lines up.
Delicate as silk.
The topaz doesn't actually kill Link in one hit, so I slotted 2 in by dropping my first Fuse and Tingled shield before Fuse and Tingling and Zuggling the second one, and unequipping my shield so that I could pick up the dropped topaz shield and Zuggle that one as well. All the setup complete, return to the title screen to select New Game. Say thank you to the care package. Throw the topazes. Boom. Link is done with Tears of the Kingdom in under 50 seconds. It makes you wonder what Zelda was thinking watching me record everything. But she's probably used to it by this point. Anyway, this was silly and very fun, so if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe.
What? I was doing fine.
By royal decree. Ha! Let's go. I must leave no stone unturned. As a ha! Starball! Night Shield. Steady as stone. Yep.
It's passive.
Fireball! Ha! Wings of darkness, delicate as silk. As a dutiful maid would. Yep, I'll catch up. Ha! By royal decree.
Over the past 2 years, I spent a great deal of time discussing cast members that used to have a dominant standing in the meta, but have since fallen off. Roy, Pokemon Trainer, Wolf, Joker, and such. These characters were once touted as the best a Special Ultimate had to offer. However, after new characters got released, they were struck with nerfs, or a combination of the two. They've been relegated to more modest positions on the tiers, still a force to be reckoned with by the standards of most people, but nowhere near as exceptional as people once thought them to be. That said, if characters go down, it's fair to assume others go up, right? Several have. We all know members like Cloud, Game & Watch, and Sonic had major improvements in public opinion, along with a plethora of mid-tiers, as I previously discussed in my advice about the mid-tiers review. There's one in particular, though, who I believe deserves a mention. 2023 and early 2024, we witnessed a significant surge in popularity and performance for Core, who once had a serious presence in Smash 4, following rather crippling nerfs received enter an ultimate base career as a minority defense option, leading to the generally inferior to most of the stories in the game, like the aforementioned Roy and Cloud, as well as Susina and Sephiroth. What changed? Was Core always good, or is it a case of Neo, Shattuck, Lion, such being keep a chance at the Let's find out what happened to Core. Swordies have always carried a negative reputation in Ultimate for having generic kits copy-pasted from one another with only changes to numbers, ranges, and such. For my money, that's a very shallow and inconsiderate conclusion to make for the archetype. Yes, there are many sword fighters in this game, but hard-pressed to cope with copies of one another to Necro fighters like Marco and Cena. Now with the keys, the same argument can be made for the many fighters we have with sex keep mirrors, but that's besides the point. Corrin was a victim of best sentiment. After receiving many harsh nerfs to their specials and a number of normals, like many X-top tiers from Smash 4, they were relegated to a low or mid-tier status at best. In the early days of Ultimate, Roy, Chrom, and Messina were held in high regard, effectively preventing Corrin from finding any semblance of popularity because whatever they did, those other four could do much better. If you needed range, Ike and Messina were your choices. If you wanted combos, you went for Roy and Chrom. When it's spacing, the two X would handle that side of things, so while I wholeheartedly disagree with the notion of swordies being copies of each other, I'd be lying if I said I didn't know where that narrative came from. Though as the years passed, the nuances between each member of the archetype became more pronounced, and those four in question have all more or less depreciated in value and relevance for one reason or another. Corrin's value, on the other hand, has only matured throughout the years. A lot of it was definitely as a result of many of the frankly unreasonable nerfs being compensated through version updates, but notably, I think it had more to do with the specific combination of nuances afforded to each character. Corn's rise to prominence is as a consequence of the direction other competitive scenes that have developed. As discussed in the two recent architect discussions, the more refined execution and increased optimization of everyone's characters has resulted in players getting huge mileage off a single neutral direction, which is the reason why everyone thinks the game is about who can zero to death or who can chase the other. Everyone perfected the 0 to 60s, everyone perfected the kill confirms, everyone knows how to squeeze the most out of it as possible. The byproduct in this case, the critical players with the generous margin for error have simply scores the total up due to their ability to exert pressure without exposing themselves in return. Alongside Cloud, Corn is a sword fighter with a very awesome spread of actions, just with different priorities. Most sorties are fully connected to a handful of things and leave themselves completely exposed in others. Ike is the walling sortie. He's all about anyone to the versions of that. Not until one can be exposed, and with his massive range, he can control center stage well. But all that power and range comes at the expense of a total absence of speed, frame data, and movement, something to question the opposition's approach. Instead of a wall of boxes like Ike, his opponent could just stand where they are, forcing Ike to slowly inch closer and closer to
This
reach
is
the
long
line.
overdue.
This is good
Access
over,
denied.
especially when fighting a rushdown. Roy is the rushdown sortie, whose spray data and speed on par with boxes, but with the added privilege of disjoints. His name is some of the strongest and fastest suppression bar time. The downside to that strength, as we've learned following the return to offline, is that there are no breaks on Roy. While he's a sortie, he doesn't have the ability to slow the game down and play the spacing game efficiently. Not for long periods of time at least. He has no choice but to get up close and personal, which in certain matchups is tantamount to suicide with how linear and punishable a recovery he has. My point is that you can think of every sortie as having a combination of strengths. A, B, C, D, E, F, X, Y, Z, P, Q, R. Choose any 3 letters of the alphabet and there you go. Essentially, sorties like Corn and Cloud have improved in relevance due to having just the right assortment of strengths, A, Q, GRC, whatever you want to choose. Conveniently, circumstances happen to change in favor of them. So what exactly is Corn's combination of strengths? The keystone one would be, like I said earlier, safety. Corns are a very safe character, capable of applying sufficient pressure to their opponent without exposing themselves too much. Otherwise, Corn has easily some of the best frame data out of any sortie, especially in relation to their effective range. Neutraler comes out of frame 6 and attacks both sides of them simultaneously, making it a solid out of shield option and a general coverage tool that pops enemies upwards. Prior to the nerfs, it was considered by many to be a discount nightmare that traded combo potential for the ability to be used as a rising aerial. Forward air is an arcing sword swing that comes out of frame 9, not as fast as Marcinus, but like Nair, it pops enemies upward to be used as a combo tool. It's also -4 on shield. Up air is one of the best up airs in the game. It's basically Prom's up air, but with more range and kill power. These 3 aerials have among the best coverage of their respective types, being fast enough to where they can reliably beat out other air disjoints that either aren't perfectly spaced or intentionally focused on whiff punishing. Back air is also excellent overall. This boost spike can be difficult to land, but if it does, it's one of the strongest airs in the game.
touching.
Does a ton of damage, has good range, and shoves Corn forward, making it virtually unpunishable out of shield in spite of its poor safety. Few members of the cast, if any, can challenge Corn in the mid-range. While they don't have the grounded airspeed of fast sorties like Roy and Cloud, they at least have
Access
the
denied.
Materials, they also have other long-range ones with no pressure. Dragon Lunge is nowhere near as good as it used to be back in Smash 4, but it's still one of those moves you have to keep an eye on due to how fast it can come out from the ground and how easily you can die from it if you DI incorrectly. Dragon Fang shots one of the weaknesses in the repertoire, but what it does is give them a way to pressure approaches, something either one doesn't have. Again, it's no Samus charge shot, but in a similar fashion to Cloud's Blade Beam, any projectile is always better than no projectile. Corn is perfectly suited to play mid-range, which empirically has been the safest range to play as of late due to close range being too dangerous, what with all the insta-kills we have, and long range compromising productivity. That's what it mostly boils down to. Corn has the best combination of frame data, range, and coverage out of any sortie and alternate. They don't have the longest range, but when you account for how fast their attacks are and how generous the area coverage is, that can be better more often than not. Shell, for instance, has more range, but that's confined to forward and neutral. Back air, up air, and down air are all straight lines, which can take more precision than one would think, especially on account of how much worse his frame data is. Sunfog and Violet have even more range, but once again there's either a trade-off of frame data or the attacks require more precision, being straight lines instead of arcing swings. Even to some extent, Cloud suffers from this as well. Forward air has fantastic coverage, but more spot on up air ranges and is fast, but sometimes a big toxic is a little practical. Corn can just cover a lot of area. You see the respective you don't have to worry too much about being overwhelmed by rushdowns the way other disciplines have to because they're the startup to match others in there. I still have to be wary of some of the boys who are ironically distance demons themselves, but overall it's an edge. Second strength would have to be their mileage. Apart from Roy and Mithra, most sorties don't have extensive combos. Neutral for them typically boils down to 1-2 combos or primarily straight hits. After all, it wouldn't be fair for a character with huge disjoints to also combo you the same as Sheik or Mario can. Corrin is somewhat of an exception to this. You would think their below average ground and airspeed makes achieving combos on them more difficult than most, but not exactly. They have a scoop down to one of the best in the game as it comes out frame 5 and pulls you towards them. Forward air also knocks enemies upward, and neutral air does the same thing, albeit not as efficiently as spikes. They don't have to chase after opponents by virtue of their combo starters keeping them within reach for a follow-up. And low and mid percents, Corrin can easily chain a bunch of aerials together from grab enemies for big damage. Then once you get to high percent, they have quite a number of ways to close out your stock. I wouldn't exactly say Corrin's known for comebacks, but they can definitely punish you for careless neutral play a lot more than, say, Marcina, whose opponents can survive upwards of 150% more often than not. Like I said, with bad TI or stage positioning, Corrin historically has made a lot of people audibly scream out, "Wait, that killed?" I've seen landing there to back your kill at 80 with the sweet spot, which is crazy for a move with that much range and auto spacing. Although it's one of those attacks whose animation does not match the strength of the attack, and as I mentioned earlier, Dragon Lunge, Overpin, and Beta Stab is crazy strong. Just recently I knew Shattuck struck out Lima with Aerial Side B at 84%. Granted, Bayo is notoriously squishy, and Shattuck was at max range, but considering that still wants to center stage on PS2, that's ludicrous to think about. Corrin can take a lot from a single neutral production. Despite having the necessary tools to play serious space
reveal
Corrin can get in on you, but copious amount of damage or death is soon to follow. A very nice privilege to have, someone who can force a huge majority of the roster to come to them. Their strength would be their options, which in some situations is better than other one's mobility and worse than others. Corrin is slow, and like most of these recoveries is avoidable, but what makes it harder to deal with is the range of options you have for every game state.
Oh yeah,
The architect encounters is
I just remembered. They're immune to geo damage. Right, this team is actually objectively bad against this.
Corrin can also struggle to kill
Lol, that's hilarious.
but they do have a lot of options to attack neutral. You have your aerials, like landing up air and back air, of course, but there are other things that can just as easily kill. Dragon Fang Shot's Bite is a cheesy way to whip punish enemies or kill via ledge shot. Once again, there's Dragon Lunge being a jump speed kill option if you're not ready for it. And last but not least is Forward Smash. Heaven knows how many stocks Corrin names are taking with this against someone too shield happy. And many tools to watch out for that you don't see on any other sortie, and unlike Violet, their gimmicky moves can actually be used in practical settings. On to Advantage, those same tools can be used once more. Dash attack turnaround forward smash up a ledge catches every get-up option besides attack. The auto hitbox catches neutral get up and jump while the attack itself catches a roll. Dragon Lunge can two-frame quite easily with how low it stabs, or you can just go off stage and use this like air stall for straightforward edge guarding, with even the sour spot standing at an angle to allow you to try again. Down air splash hitbox is an extremely janky way to keep opponents in vulnerable recoveries. Mind you, these tools are not steep levels of
Astra Abyssal.
that's where you have to respect them. Finally,
Thank you for
Disadvantage.
completing-
Corrin has a bad recovery if you securely by drop smash.
Astra.
Doesn't travel that much farther than Roy's Blazer, and it's nowhere near as quick as Dolphin Slash. Though it does have good hitboxes, there's none right above them, so any straight line down air and so far the short will two-frame it basically every time. However, that doesn't necessarily mean Corrin's recovery is bad. It's reminiscent of Cloud, where it's not so much the upbeat that makes the recovery deceptively good, rather